Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Scene Snobs Reviews, where I'm going to just be talking about some of the newer movies that I have checked out, and we'll be rating them, and I'll let you know what I think of them. And we appreciate it. We are the Scene Snobs. If you like what you see here, or you want to check out our podcast or other shows, other review shows we do, we have sports shows and things like that, please feel free. Go up, hit subscribe, hit the likes, hit the comments. We'd love to hear from you. We have a great community here called the Snob Nation, and we appreciate you and we want you to be a part of it. We love movies, and we know you do too. So join in. So, guys, I got a chance to sit down and see 4 movies. One that completely, I think, and then like 2 that kind of blew me away. So I'm really excited to talk about them. The movies I'm going to be covering tonight are the new Street Trash remake that is coming out of South Africa. And then we have The Last Showgirl, which is a new independent film coming out this weekend in theaters, starring Pamela Anderson and so many more. And can't wait to talk about that one. I'm going to talk about 2024's The Return, starring Ralph Fiennes, who plays Odysseus as he comes home. And I'm excited to talk about that one too. And one that really kind of blew me away is from 2024. It's an older one. It came out in April, but it was a Tubi original. I had just watched it for a review I had to do last night, and I really wanted to sit down and talk about that one as well. So we'll get to all those and more. So thank you guys for joining in, whether you're watching this as a clip, or you're watching this, the full live show or later. Really just truly appreciate it. If you're listening on the podcast, thank you so much. Make sure you check out the rest of the Scene Snobs podcast as well. All right, everybody, let's get into it. I'm going to start off with Street Trash. Now, if it says coming in 2024, this is the only poster I could find for it. Street Trash, which is a new film coming out, which is a remake of the original Street Trash from the 80s, which tells the tale of homeless people in New York City being melted down, by a rich conglomerate, and sort of like the horror that was that. It was very low budget, and talking about the 80s version, this very low budget movie that had a lot of practical gore to it, but it took itself seriously in a way. I think there was a real message about going after the rich and how we treat the homeless, especially in the 80s, in that time, in that area. And it was, it was pretty grueling, so and cruel at times. So, and that's not that has changed, but this is a remake of that movie from the 80s. It takes place in South Africa. I don't exactly know where. I don't believe they mentioned, but it takes place in like the futuristic 2050 something, I think it is, and it follows a band of homeless people who are kind of in encampment, and they're just trying to survive, and some of them keep going, some keep going missing every now and then, and it turns out that they are being melted as well, as an experiment by a giant corporation. I'm gonna say, as you can see, I gave this a half mic in my 1 out of 5s, and the reason being is, I got to be honest, it just did not resonate with me. I turned it off after like 15 minutes. It was just, I have no problem. Listen, I love absurdity. I love craziness. I love horror, even if the horror in its horror comedy or however you want to play it. I don't care how crazy you get. Fine. If you're doing something just, I don't know, to be outrageous, it's not funny. And like, it's just boring. And that's what happened. I reached the 15-minute mark and I'm like, I'm just super tired of watching this. I'm bored. And then it was just going to get a no rating, because I won't rate a movie that I didn't finish. And in my life, I think there's like maybe 3 or 4 movies I didn't finish. And this was one of them. Well, this was one of them at the time. And so I was going to give it no rating. I felt really bad because I'm like, it still is an ultra low budget. It's in indie. I want to, try and, get back to it. So, I went back to it, I watched it, and, it didn't get better. I will say, like, for the effects and what they are and for the budget that it is, the effects were used well, but it did seem very, very rudimentary in a lot of elements. But the melting effects, they look pretty cool. So, there's top, yes. Daniel's here. Spoilers. I didn't give too many spoilers. There's top 5 movies you couldn't finish. Maybe in the we'll talk about that on the podcast. Dan, of course, is my one of my partners in crime over there on the Scene Snobs podcast. You can check that out every Tuesday on the Scene Snobs channel. Watch or listen. So yeah, with Street Trash, it was one of those movies that just seems like it was remade to be more nostalgic, like because the movie almost feels, watching it, what a lot of those like fan films or things like that kind of like are trying to reach for the feeling that movie, the original movie, made them feel, versus making a movie that either parodies or sort of copies and, you know, or rips off even in certain ways. It just feels like they're chasing nostalgia when movies like this are being made. And this one just didn't capture the feel of the original. There's no grittiness to it. It feels forced. It feels like forced nostalgia. Like, remember Street Trash? Well, this is Street Trash. And it's like, it's not, though. And that's why I gave it a half of a mic. It just, for me, did not resonate. And I don't mean to tear it apart, anything like that. There's some fun elements to it. There are some puppetry, things like that are just wild, but like you could do it, like if it incorporated into an original product that isn't like a remake of something that, let's face facts, like, yeah, maybe fun for some, like I don't mind it. It was cool enough, but like, it's not a great movie. We got to stop defending all the cult classics as they're the greatest movies of all time. They don't go up that way. But grading this one on a curve, like, it's going to be comparative to the next movie that I'm reviewing in that like sort of budget, you know, where it's at. But there's vast differences when I'm looking at them. So for me, Street Trash remake was just not a miss. But like again with the original was like into obscurity until some people found it and were just like, hey, it's good. For this one, it's a miss for me because it doesn't even hold like that charm of the original, like campiness or charm. So if you're catching this as a clip, thank you so much. Go check out the full reviews and where all podcasts are. But let's get into the next one, which is Festival of the Living Dead, which was a Tubi original. This one is an interesting one. Ooh, excuse me. And it gets a 3 for me. It kind of really excitedly, how do I put it? Like pulled me in, drew me in. Like I was like so into the story. I was so into like, you know, what was going on. And the cool thing about this is it's in the title of The Living Dead. We know what it's going to kind of be a ripoff of, but going into this, it's almost like a spiritual, like that other multiverse type of sequel to Night of the Living Dead, because they are drawing straight from, like they say, the event in 1968. Her grandfather, the young lady who's in the poster, in front of the poster, her grandfather is supposed to be Ben from Night of the Living Dead, and I really like that element and kind of what they were playing into. A really cool one about this one is it's goofy. It's got its issues. It's got pacing issues. It's got, I realize going over sort of some what feels like negatives, and they are, but there's a lot of positives as well. But it's got its pacing issues. It's got scaring issues. Like, you can go through the whole thing and pick it apart, but for its budget, for what it was made for, the Soska sisters, who are very talented, directors, and if you haven't checked out their stuff, you absolutely should if you're a horror fan. They did a great job with this, and if this felt like it was doing the same thing, like it was paying homage and parodying a bit Night of the Living Dead, but in such a beautiful way, but not like Street Trash was for the original Street Trash. For that, it felt like it was trying to force the nostalgia. This was just saying we're connected and we're gonna do our own thing within that world, and I liked that. I was like, yeah, take me to a different place. And they did, and it was a different story, but you still had these societal issues kind of popping up with that matter to young people today, you know, I mean, in 2024, whereas, you know, going back, like those societal issues, those younger people in Night of the Living Dead, that's what they were dealing with, you know. They were all younger than me, I think, at that time. So it's just one of those. Oh, the staff in the that's not staff. That is the rifle Ben had in Night of the Living Dead, which I'm glad you asked that, because she does. It was like they held on to it after he had died. The kids, and whatever, you're just kind of connecting something, but it is what it is. But suspension of disbelief in certain areas is fine by me. A very cool connection to this too was a guy I got to talk to at CFF, Twisty Troy, who's a contortionist who's been in tons of horror stuff. He was in this movie as well, and I knew him as soon as I saw him pop up. I'm like, that's got to be Twisty, and it was, and I was so excited to see that. But the young lady who plays Selena Kyle on Gotham was in this. She did a great job as the friend. All the actors did like really fun jobs, but it has its missteps. It has its flaws. I don't want to stand on this and say like, this is a great movie. I graded on the curve like I did Street Trash. I'm not going to put The Return and The Last Showgirl on that same curve. Those are deep dramas and, different philosophies. So with this one, this is a winner in my opinion when it comes to horror. Like, I think if you can let go of, I don't know, there's sometimes with this movie toxicity where it's like, oh, they're trying to connect it to what I love and it cuts out other things and I hate it. And it's like, you got to let that go. There's so many, I thought this was well done in that and pays respect to the original, which was public domain, and it's been remade a million times. Why not make like a little sister sequel? I've seen like those sister sequels as fan films that everybody gushes over, which is great. And I'm not putting them down, but this is something that actually did something original with it. And I dug that. So I give this a 3 out of 5. I thought this was a well done movie for horror fans, like true horror fans. Like, I'm not going to take this over and like show my wife and be like, hey, you're going to love this. Like, she's probably not, but she'll watch some other horror movies. She's not that type of horror fan. This for the horror fans, like, go check it out. It's on Tubi. If you like Night of the Living Dead, if you like just crazy zombie movies, enjoy. Just keep in mind that there's a lot of heart and depth in this one. So there is some like good dialogue. Like talking to some friends about it, they were saying like they just felt like it was too much slowed down when they got into the dialogue. And I was like, I felt like that helped, and I felt like that matched Night of the Living Dead really well, because it was very similar in the same way. Anyway, that's my review of Festival of the Living Dead. You should go check it out. It's free on Tubi. So yeah, if checking us out as a clip or watching us and listening to it, thank you so much. And let's get to our next review. And I'm excited for this one. The Last Showgirl. The Last Showgirl. Well, if you can't see, I gave it 5 out of 5. This might go down as one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't know if I'd put it in my top 10, but it could be in my top 50, maybe even my top 25. I thought this was an excellent movie. I thought this is so well put together. Pamela Anderson gives a performance that I'll tell you, I didn't catch it. She had me fooled in this, and that is one of the things that I had reactions, I had emotional reactions to this movie, and her performance especially. Everyone who's in this movie, I didn't know anything other than that there was a movie called The Last Showgirl with Pamela Anderson. The way it was sold to me and the way I see it, it's Pamela Anderson's The Wrestler. So I went into it thinking like that. I love The Wrestler. This movie made me rethink the end of The Wrestler, and the way I rethought the end of The Wrestler improved that movie for me. And I dug that. And it made me realize from a writing standpoint how important in these movies that it's like The Last Showgirl or The Wrestler. These movies and this is a very specific movie. This is an independent movie starring, for lack of a better term, faded celebrity. Like Pamela Anderson hasn't been in the spotlight for a long time, and at the time Mickey Rourke hadn't. And it's just there are a series of those movies that come out, and how they get made. And I do realize, and I don't want to put out any spoilers, but how you have to cap off your story has to be exactly the reason we're going to see it. And I realize that now. Once I realized that, it made me see The Wrestler in a very different way. And I don't want to give away any spoilers to this movie, but this is a very real movie. First off, it shows life for almost everyone, like how people live. Like, it's like paycheck to paycheck. What could happen if it all goes away? Where is this? Somebody can we all and this isn't like some sort of like stance or anything. I'm just saying, but we all know that feeling of this could all be gone in an instant, and this is my whole life, So that being the backdrop to this story, and this woman for 40 years who's been performing as a showgirl in this theater, in this casino, and it was a staple, and now they're shutting it down, and she's rethinking everything. Like, what does this mean? Who am I? What can I do? Where do I go with it? And there's so many elements added into this. Like, she put the show before being a mother, and now she's trying to reconnect with her daughter, who's played by Billie Lourd and does an amazing job, by the way. The whole cast. Then she sees a mirror of herself, her best friend, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, who does an amazing job, who is spiraling because she used to be a showgirl as well, and then was forced out and had to become a waitress. And then Batista is in this, and oh my God, phenomenal job as well. Kiernan Shipka and Brenda Song, great jobs as young, sort of daughterly type of people in her life that she's sort of rejecting because she doesn't know if she's ever been that. So, and she just wants to be a showgirl. I realize I'm not giving you the full meat and potatoes of this movie, but that's why I think it needs to be encapsulated for yourself and really appreciate it, because it really is like the grittier side of the filmmaking, but it is such a beautifully done cinematography wise, on the fly type of independent filmmaking that I just really, I miss. Like, that was the type of filmmaking when I lived in LA. That was very much how you did it, and they, you see that how this plays out in this movie, and the story and what's written here is really beautiful and brutal and honest, and just, oh man, Jason Schwartzman too plays a great character in this. Just to kind of add to that, add to this. But I want to say something about Pamela Anderson's performance without giving too much away. Watching this movie, like I said, she had me fooled. I'm thinking, this is very, the way she's playing this character, I'm like, it's almost like, it reminded me of almost like Britney Spears when she was in certain interviews and her mental health, she was having mental health issues at the time. And seemed very manic or paranoid. And she was playing this role, and but when she's got everything on, she's all smiles, and it was very interesting. And then there's a switch. They're at a pivotal point, and there's a switch, and you see it all come down, and you just see the true act. Not that it wasn't acting the whole time, but that true, this is who this character is. And Pamela Anderson delivers a guttural performance, and I thought it was beautiful. This is a 5 out of 5 film for me. I absolutely loved it, and I hope what is a good comp for it? Like I said, The Wrestler, but an ending that left me more optimistic, but actually changed my idea of what The Wrestler ending actually meant. So we could talk about that off the air, though. I would say The Wrestler is a good one. There's quite a few of them, but we'll just go with The Wrestler for now. That's a good. So The Last Showgirl, I think you should absolutely go see this movie. I think it's fantastic. Thank you guys for checking this out, whether you checked it out as a clip or you're watching and listen. But yeah, this is out in theaters this weekend. Definitely go see it if you can. That's right. We're going to get into the next one. The Return from 2024. This is the movie where Juliette Binoche plays Odysseus' wife, who's waiting for him, to come home from Troy, where they were at battle. Of course, we know the story. It's the Odyssey written by Homer. And his son, Temecula, is there, and he's sort of a cowardly type. All the suitors are waiting for her to choose, which again, we know that story, so I don't want to dwell on it, but all the suitors are waiting for her to make a decision. She's still waiting for Odysseus. But this picks up where Ralph Fiennes, who is Odysseus in this, is washed up ashore. He's got nothing. And so there is no adventure anymore. This isn't the adventure. He is home now, and he starts with nothing, and he has no intention of going home. The PTSD has gotten to him, and it's just, and it also makes you question how real is this? Who is he? It shines little things of how excellent and mystical he could be. It kind of pokes at that, this is how it could have been done, but he's still a great fighter, this, that, and the other thing, but it kind of tries to ground it a bit. I wouldn't even say grounded a bit, because like it kind of keeps you guessing of whether what happened throughout that 10 years. Did he actually, he fought in a war and such like that, but like, did he actually go through the odyssey that he had to come home, or did he actually get to a point where he just couldn't come home, like he was just dealing with the war and everything that went on? Because they do a really good job in this at portraying PTSD and guilt of war and survivor's guilt and things like that. So they do a very good job of that, and that's sort of the main crux of this. That's why it's more of a drama, and him dealing, and him not even being able to go home, but him trying to recognize home. Is he worthy of it? And then when he finally gets there, we see how it all kind of plays out. But then there's a beautiful extension to it, because you get a great back and forth between Ralph and Juliet, who are playing the main characters, and just sort of who these people actually are, what their marriage actually is, what war did to them, and everything in between. This was a well done movie, but this wasn't, with the Odyssey possibly coming out from Christopher Nolan soon, next couple of years, that could be pretty awesome, and I'd love to see like where that takes it. But this was a fun visit to, this is a very not fun movie. It's a very dramatic movie. So be ready for it. You're not going to laugh. There's no real laughter in this one, but it is a good dramatic turn and take on the Odyssey and Odysseus and his journey home, and finally making it home, and what that looks like. I like the PTSD angle. I did think that this was very stale at times. It drew very long on certain things, and it just some of the characters just didn't like measure up, especially when you're going against somebody like Ralph Fiennes. So, and I'm just talking about in scenes wise. So like, I don't want to point everybody out, but like, if you go a chance to check this out, I suggest go check it out, see it, let me know what you think. Sound off in the comments if you have seen it, or you've seen any of the movies that we've talked about tonight. I want to say thank you guys again. I really truly appreciate it. We would truly appreciate if you guys are watching a clip, or you're watching these, please give us a like, give us a subscribe. This is really only where we are. I think we're on Blue Sky, and we have a Patreon, which is also free. You can sign up for, get you into Discord and all that other stuff. And yeah, we're just building a good community here, the Snob Nation, trying to do positive vibes, having a good time. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this, hanging out with us. I just want to say, until next time, I'm Mick Manhattan. You can check out the Scene Snobs channel, like I said, here over on Patreon and stuff like that. But make sure to check out the Scene Snobs podcast, or the Scene Snobs Reviews, wherever podcasts are. We're everywhere. And we'd love for you to go check it out, because I will be honest with you, it means a lot to me. I love doing this stuff, and I love having the community and stuff like that. So until next time, remember to be kind to each other and take care of yourselves, because that's very important. And I'll talk to you very, very soon.